Online fully interactive class recap number 191.
Are you sure? You weren't sure then?
No, so it is that. And we're in Alison's parents' gaff.
And the local lingo.
And
like that, we did leave Swansea before it was locked down, so we're not here illegally.
So all our fans who don't know anything about Wales,
yes.
Wales is South Wales is currently in a lockdown, which means you're not allowed to go across borders in counties and stuff like that, unless without a very good reason.
Yes.
And that came into account on Sunday night, last night.
Yeah, Sunday night for Swansea, Cardiff, and somewhere else. Oh, Knightsbridge.
Yes, which is the only town in lockdown rather than the county of Carmarthenshire.
Yeah.
But so we left last Wednesday because we were going to Devizes.
Holiday.
And we were doing some filming for the cycling tango dancers and doing a demo in a farm with an emu.
Yes.
And all that sort of stuff, which you can check out on our page.
Yes.
But also this lockdown got us thinking, and especially the weather and the darkness of night. We know some people have been trying to do events outside. Obviously with the weather now turning and also getting dark night, those are not practical anymore.
No.
We have our own online longer, and so people will have to be dancing in their living rooms or in small spaces.
Hallways, kitchens, all that sort of stuff. We haven't seen anybody dancing in the bathroom yet though.
No.
Which would be a good one if anybody wants to join us on Friday from their bathroom.
And show us their grouting on ourselves.
Yes.
So today's class we would, and also next week's class, we're focusing on dancing in small spaces. So first of all, we have to define dancing in a small space because there's lots of different variabilities. You could be dancing in a small space as in you're dancing in your living room, which is a small space. Or what most people normally think about in dancing in a small space is dancing in a crowded milonga, where the space is actually being confined by people, which are also constantly moving. And today we were mainly focusing on that sort of small space, because techniques are totally different for dancing them. So there is a style of tango called Milonguero tango, which is ideal for dancing in small spaces. So we talked about the embrace for this being contact through the stomach as well as the chest area. We are leaning on each other very slightly. Some people for some reason call this shared access. We are just leaning against each other. My right hand can come around as far around as my followers as able, which is much further than with our normal embrace. Our elbows are very tucked in and our hands are very close. And what this does, it means that the follower can't open up from the rib cage, which means step size becomes smaller, pivoting into ochos becomes harder. So this is good for dancing in small spaces because it actually forces you to dance small. However, if you dance in a normal embrace with a slight V shape, a little bit more open, so contact only in the chest area, not in the lower stomach, hand out to the side, this still allows you to dance in a small space. And one of the tips we showed, one of the tricks actually this is if you are thinking you're going to dance in a crowded floor, if you get onto the floor quickly, find your space. If you go into an open embrace with your hand held wide, you are taking up what we define as a large volume, so the couple volume we're going to call this. And then if you want to start dancing, you can come in a bit closer and you've still got that original volume, so you've created space for yourself. And also having the hand out here means people aren't going to crowd you in from the sides. So that's a little tip that you can use. Slightly selfish way of dancing, we'll go into it, but it works.
Well, you're going to get the space you've created at the start will be absorbed by the rest of the floor at some point, though.
As we already said with Milonguero style, one thing you have to do if you dance in small spaces, especially if there's a lot of very crowded floor which is backing up and you have to stop, is actually just taking smaller steps, which is what you do when you dance milonga. But when milonga you lift the feet and you're moving faster, which facilitates small steps. When you do it in tango, you should still be trying to maintain the quality of movement, so trying to maintain the technique, you're still trying to open up from the rib cage, even though you're not pushing far, otherwise this can impact and introduce bad habits for when you do dance normal size again. So we talked about little things that you can do. So obviously small steps in boxes. This tape doesn't add much to the volume of your original couple volume. You can go from side to side. You can add rock steps. And this creates the variety, so you can actually do very small steps and not travel very far and still maintain your volume. So that's one thing that you can do dance in small spaces. Obviously, if the floor is travelling well in your ronda, you can still dance take big steps. Another thing we talked about is if you've got a volume, you can move within that volume. So you can do circular motions, so heroes. So normally when we do a hero, the follower is moving around the leader. Because the leader is the centre of the universe, obviously, because men are most important. And the misogyny of tango, which hopefully is changing. But what we talked about was actually moving around a common centre. So we can facilitate this with a poster or anything else which can be put on the floor. So instead of moving around me, we're going to be moving around the follower. Sorry, moving around the...
Excuse me, you're calling me a coaster now.
Yes, I am. So moving around a coaster. And also, if you've got some markings on the floor, trying to find the space. So we're trying to keep ourselves within 5 widths of this laminate flooring. And the laminate flooring is about 3 inches. Which is actually the volume of our the surface area of our embrace. So what we did was do a hero step, but the leaders do the heroes as well. So I sailed onto my right foot, let my follower to the left to take the side step, and then twisting my chest to my left so the follower comes through. It allows me to walk around and forward using normal pivoting technique, taking the back step, and as you can see, we're just moving around this common centre. Obviously, you can get dizzy or doing this, so you do losing both sides.
Do it in the other direction.
So that's something which is quite nice to be able to do. It also works well on a larger scale as well. So that's
and
something.
it's quite a nice move anyway, where both partners are doing the hero motion. You get quite a nice amount of momentum to turn out of it.
We also talked about finding space on the floor. So we've always talked about using your arm to create the space. Something else you can do is for leading belayos. So some small step classes talk about doing these low belayos, which we don't agree with because it leaves the heel exposed, which somebody can walk into and skew themselves. And we see no reason why you can't do a normal belayo with the foot in the air. Because again, we're talking about the volume of our space. If the follower has good technique, so keeps one knee behind the other, doesn't swing this back leg, just lifts it off the floor, this is actually under the area of our hands. So as you can see from this camera angle, my hand actually extends further out from the embrace than the foot, so anybody who is dancing close to us should hit the arm before they make the hand if they've got bad floor craft technique and they actually are crashing into people. But hopefully if they haven't got, they are being aware of what's going on. This will actually add an indication. We also talked about using the edge of the floor. So if I wanted to lead Alison into a belay and I was a bit wary of people on the inside, if I moved my follower over back to the outside of the room, obviously being very careful if there's anybody sitting there, if that's the case, moving slightly into the centre but not allowing anybody to come past, we have created a space there for these belayos by using the floor. And hopefully if the ronda is progressing well, the person on this side, which is more likely to be kicked, would have already moved out of the way. So again, it's looking for safety on the floor while doing these sort of things. Finally, things like leg wraps. If you've got your little belayo, if I move my foot just inside the follower's standing leg, we can get little leg wraps in there. And again, these don't really add to the volume that we're taking up, because in this case, my right elbow and Alison's left arm is actually defining this edge of the embrace, which again is further out than where this leg wrap is coming. And again, when we release it, you're not going to do a big unhook, you're just taking it out and keeping it small and controlled. Also vitally important for these sort of things, when you want the follower to take smaller steps, is the quality of movement, which we talked about from the leader's point of view and the follower's point of view, being certain and not going over the top, otherwise you start losing your balance. Anyway, that was basically a summary of everything we covered today. There was much more detail in the class. If you wanted to learn more of this sort of stuff, Next week we're looking at actually dancing in small spaces and how to create a dance in a space like this, which travels around. Please send us a message, we'll send you the Zoom link for the class. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please like the Facebook page, we're on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to our newsletter if you wish, and hopefully we'll see you in this week's Coming Malonga on Friday, which is going to be online. So we hope you're safe, take care, and obey the COVID rules. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching this Urban Tango Nights recap. If you like these videos, please subscribe to our channel by clicking the logo. You can find more of our class summaries down here and other videos of us dancing tango over here. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Meetup. Links are in the description below, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter using the link below.